Okay, welcome to my first portion of the instructional video that I'm making on how to make pork shoulder or pulled pork in the smoker. Here on the table you see that I've pretty much laid out everything that you're going to need for doing this project. We're going to go through and we're going to go through all these items on the table real quick, show you what you're going to need, and then we're going to actually get something set up, show you how to rub the meat, show you how to prepare it, how to get the smoker going, how to get everything rolling like that, and then we're going to check in on it as time goes on, show you a little bit about the stall, and then the last video should be what do you do when it's done, how do you tell it's done, etc., etc. So let's take a real quick tour of this table. The first thing that we notice here is I got a couple of trays. And what I've got on these trays here is a Boston butt, if you focus in here, a Boston butt pork shoulder. I bought these at Sam's. There are 2 of them in this package. This package weighs 16.85 pounds, so about 8 1/4 pounds a piece. The rule of thumb with pork shoulder is if you cook it without doing anything more to it, it takes about 2 hours a pound. So in this particular case, we've got 2 8-pound roasts. You don't have to add any time for more roasts. You just go with the weight of one of them. So in this case, we'd need about 16 hours to get these to where they need to be. There is a step that we're going to show you later on called the Texas crutch. We'll show you how to do that later on. But for now, and if you do that step, you'll knock about a half an hour per pound off. So in this case, you'd be looking at right around 12 hours or so. I do not Texas crutch. I like bark, the crusty exterior that will eventually form on these. So I do not Texas crutch, but those of you with master-built smokers, electric smokers, your bark is never going to get as crispy as it does with me because I use charcoal. The electric heat just doesn't allow it. So you can use the Texas crutch. It's a good way to learn too. When you get a little better, then you can eliminate that portion of the step. But as a beginner, I would definitely recommend the Texas crutch. So got a couple of trays. Obviously, when we decide that we're going to rub these things, we're going to want trays. We don't want to get rub all over the place. Over here, you see I've got heavy-duty aluminum foil. I happen to buy this at Sam's Club or Costco, one of the two. Heavy-duty is the way to go. Do not go with just regular old aluminum foil. All right, in the back here, we have oak chunks. We have cherry chips and cherry chunks. For pork shoulder, cherry will give a real nice dark bark. You'll wind up with something that looks like a meteorite when it's all said and done. I use a lot of cherry, but just for a little variety, I throw a couple chunks of oak in as well. And we're going to go out and take a look at what I got set up on the smoker in a minute. Here you will see, if you ever get to the point where you're not using a master built, I've got lighter cubes for a chimney for charcoal. You never ever want to use lighter fluid with a smoker. It will ruin your meat. You are cooking for a long time, and that lighter fluid smell and taste will wind up in your meat. You don't want to use it. So here I've got these lighter cubes, and I'll show you how to use those when I go get mine started. Also, obviously, you need a cigarette lighter or a flame of some sort. These right here, these are bear paws. These are for tomorrow. I should probably show you the time. It is 10 minutes to 9 on Friday night, and when I'm starting this, 8 minutes to 9. So we're going to chart the time as we go along here. Paper towels. We're going to show you how to prepare the shoulders in a second. You'll need paper towels for that. Got a little vegetable oil in a dish here with a brush. Over here is my rub. If you've received a link to this video, I've also linked to the rub recipe and to a sauce recipe. So that's the rub that I use. It's in there. We're going to show you how to put it on the meat in a minute. Okay, let's talk about the neck. Oh, here's a sharp knife. We'll be dealing with that when we prepare the meat. And that brings us to one of the most important devices that you have to use. Here we have 3 different types of thermometers. Okay, the one on the right here, this one right here, this is a Barbecue Guru. This is a thermostat for a charcoal pit like I use. You will not need this with a Masterbuilt smoker. However, for me, this is a time and effort saver. What this thing does, as you can see it here, here's a probe that you put in the meat. I just dropped it here. Here's a probe that you put in the pit to monitor the temperature. And this device right here is a fan. Now I'm going to plug the fan in. When I plug the fan in, you're going to hear it start up, I hope. What the fan does is, there, it's running. The fan lets a little bit of air into the bottom of the pit. It just gives it a little puff of air to give it a little more flame. Now what will happen with this particular device, and I'm going to unplug the blower now, what happens with this particular device is it senses what you want it set at. For me, I set the, well, that's showing me what it is, but I set the pit temperature at 225 degrees. Currently, it's registering that the pit is 68 degrees. That's what this device is picking up. That happens to be the ambient temperature in the room. Okay. I also have the food probe here, and it's saying that it's 68 degrees as well. So those are both reading identical. That's a good thing. This middle device, this is the one that you are going to be using. This is a $20 thermometer. It's got a probe, just like the Barbecue Guru does. There's the probe. Okay, and as you can see right now, it's measuring between 68 and 72 degrees. You want it to be pretty accurate, but you know, 4 degrees, that's pretty darn accurate. In a minute I'm going to show you how to use that. So right now I've got that turned on, and that's where it is. Here, this device, this is an instant read thermometer. It's not really all that instant, but mostly you would use this for like steaks and things like that, but this can come in handy as well for barbecue. I tend to like to check it twice, but as you can see, all 3 thermometers are pretty much reading the same thing, so any one of them is going to tell me the correct temperature. We're going to show you more with the middle one especially as time goes on, especially tomorrow when we take these bad boys off the pit. We're going to show you how this works. But for now, I think that's a pretty basic guide. Now, all of you who I've talked to about this, I've told you to get 2 of these. There's a reason why. Your Masterbuilt electric smoker has a thermostat on it, and it's pretty close. But you really want the temperature to be accurate. I like to cook everything at 225 degrees. Like I said, that's about 2 hours a pound, or about an hour and a half if you use the Texas Crutch. The reason that you want 2 of these is you're going to put one probe in the meat, and I'll show you how to do that later. But the other probe you want to use to measure the temperature in your smoker. Probably the first 5 or 6 times you use it, you're going to want to figure out exactly what the temperature is. Thermostat's going to tell you 225 degrees, but you might be surprised. You use this device right here, you might be surprised to find out that that is 15 degrees hotter or 15 degrees colder. So what you want to do is you want to get one of them into the air of the smoker and one of them in the meat to monitor the meat temperatures. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do the one in the air right now. As you can see right here, I've got a pretzel roll. What I'm going to do with this pretzel roll is I'm going to show you how to set up the thermometer for the air. What you do is you take your probe and you drive it all the way through the pretzel roll. In this case, I'm using a pretzel roll because I don't have a potato, but what you really want to do is do this with a potato or something like that. Now, this is angled just a little bit downward, unfortunately, but what I've done here is this tip is where this tip right here is where the temperature is being monitored. So what I've done is I've set up something to set that tip on so it's not sitting on metal. So what I want to do then is if I got that set up like that, when I get this in the smoker, and I got my grates inside here, when I get this in the smoker, I'm going to set it down on top of the grates. And now as you can see, well, maybe you can't see it, but as you can see, let me close up on that. That's as close as I can get. As you can see, that probe is sitting off the metal. There's not going to be that much of a difference, but you do kind of want to know what the air temperature is. So right now, that probe is telling me it's 68 degrees in here. This one's telling me it's 69. And this one is telling me 68.5. So we know we're in good shape. Alright, so that's how to set that up. What you want to do with your Masterbuilt smoker with thermometer is you want to run that cable up through the vent and out the top. We'll talk more about that when I actually get mine set up here. I'll use my Barbecue Guru, which is this device. I'll be using that, and I'll show you how to do that. It's very simple. So I think that's everything that you need to know to prepare. In a minute, I'm actually going to prepare these two pork shoulders. Actually, I'm going to prepare 4 of them. But I'm going to show you how all this works. I'm going to show you how to rub them. I'm going to get them ready to go for you. Anyway, that's the end of part 1.